Hello, hello.
Hey, hey, great to be here.
Hey, Jessie, so great to have you. All right, welcome everyone. We're just going to wait a few seconds for more folks to join. So please, as you are joining, add your name and where you're from in the comments. Jessie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, thank you. Feeling fresh.
All right. Looks like we have some folks here. We'll just wait a few more seconds for some others to join. Again, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have everyone. Please put your name and where you're from in our chat. All
Wendy
right.
from Texas, hi. DK from Minneapolis. Lorena from Berkeley, hey.
All right, Jessie, let's get started. All right, hello, hello. My name is Erica Thompson. I am the Senior Director of Creative Product here at SOONA. Welcome to our first session of our live holiday content webinar series. We will be live every Wednesday from now until October, where we'll be sharing tips and tricks from e-commerce experts and brand marketers. We will be providing strategic recommendations to help you win this holiday season. Now, today, I am thrilled to introduce you to Jessie Healy. Hey, Jessie.
Hey.
Jessie is an ecomm expert, coach, and consultant. A little bit about Jessie. So in 2018, Jessie founded the UK-based ecomm growth agency Webtopia, which scaled to 7 figures before being acquired in 2023. And today, Jessie consults full-time and runs an accelerator program that helps early-stage e-commerce brands. Man, Jessie, you sound busy.
Yeah, a little busy. A little less busy than when I was running the agency, though, thank goodness.
All right, I think I can see us now. Oh, there we are. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
So Jessie, before we get started, I'd love to ask you, how did you get started in e-com?
Yeah, so really, like, how it all started was my early career, in my early 20s when I moved to London. I was very much always in marketing. I was a product consumer marketer from the get-go. I was never really into the kind of whole B2B marketing side of things. So I loved marketing products to consumers. And then as the kind of world evolved and like e-commerce became a thing, that became a natural fit and I stepped into that. I then landed a job at Etsy where I was head of performance marketing for all the countries outside of the US. And that kind of really honed my skills in kind of product marketing and digital marketing for products. And so then when I launched my agency, it was a natural fit to niche down into e-commerce. And we niched very early on and stuck with that as our area of expertise. And as the whole ecosystem of e-commerce evolved, we evolved with it and kind of learned along the way a ton there.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much again for being here. We are so thrilled to have you kick off our webinar series. So Jessie, you're going to have you present here in a second. And then for everybody viewing at home, please add your questions into the chat and we will answer all of them at the end. Great.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to add your presentation here to the stage. So Jessie, kick it off.
Amazing. All right. I'm just going to go into slideshow mode. Here we go. Alrighty, so today I'm going to be talking to you about meta ads that convert in H2. So H2 being like the quarter we're in now, Q3 and Q4, but really with a focus on holiday ads and Black Friday. But what I'm going to do, actually, let me just, before we get started, just a little bit about me. We've already kind of mostly covered this. So the thing to add, I guess, is that I have spent over $50 million on digital advertising in my career. I've been down in the trenches with both small and big brands, figuring out this puzzle that is digital advertising. And through that, made a ton of mistakes along the way, but really learned like the DNA of what makes a great ad and the components that come to that. I've spent years studying marketing psychology and the kind of fundamentals of advertising and how that then applies to this digital space. So I'm going to share a lot of that with you guys today. These are some of the brands I've worked with. A lot of them are UK-based brands, so you may not have heard of them. Saltwater Sandals is a US brand you might have heard of. But yeah, done a ton of worked with a ton of brands, both big and small, over the years on working on their digital advertising. So today what we're going to cover, I want to go back a little bit to the fundamentals, the groundwork you need to lay to create a great ad, right? So holiday ads are still ads, and I think the mistake a lot of brands make is when they just create a big ad that says sale and, you know, Black Friday or whatever, and then hope for the best. But actually, if we lay the foundations now with great advertising in the lead up to the sale period and have really strong messaging that communicates the benefits of your product, that like gets people to understand them, you'll have them both buying now, but then you'll have a much better chance of succeeding during the sale period. But also, you're going to be competing with so many different advertisers during kind of Black Friday week and that busy holiday period. In order to stand out, the principles of advertising still apply. So if you have great ads that apply these marketing fundamentals, you'll have a better chance of cutting through the noise during the holiday period. So it's twofold. It's about the foundations you lay now with your advertising, and then with having great ads that cut through the noise during the holiday period. So we'll be covering the groundwork you need to do, the DNA of a great ad, frameworks that are working now in advertising for product brands and e-commerce. And then we'll go through some Black Friday creative inspo that kind of applies those principles and gives you some really good examples that you can apply. So let's dig in without further ado. Okay, and before I get started, I just want to kind of reiterate why ad creatives matter so much now in 2024. So the world has been moving super fast. We've all seen the kind of like, you know, AI take over our lives in every aspect. And that has been true in advertising. I mean, Meta and Google have been employing AI long before ChatGPT came along. So much of the media buying process of like placing your ads, who to put them in front of, like where they end up being seen, how often they get seen, is decided by AI, is decided by algorithms. And so in a certain sense, you're equal with your competitors because they have access to that same AI as long as your ads are set up correctly. But the lever you have, the way you can compete, is with your creative. So if your ad creative is more appealing, speaks more to your customer on a deep kind of fundamental level, understands what their pain points are and what's going to drive them to purchase, and then uses like great creativity and you know, is attention getting and thumb stopping, you have a better chance of succeeding with the algorithm than your competitors do. But the bar is being raised constantly, right? So the battleground really is in creative. And one other thing to note is that the Meta algorithm prioritizes ads that users enjoy. So there's a reason why Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp for that matter, is still, in terms of like hours spent on the platforms, the biggest social platform. And the reason is because they prioritize the enjoyment of their users when they visit the platform. And that comes down to also the ads. So if Meta was letting like bad ads that people didn't like be seen by millions of people, people would have a less enjoyable time on the platform and they wouldn't spend as much time, which is what the platforms ultimately care about, right? So if your ads are entertaining, enjoyable, get lots of engagement, get lots of comments, get lots of likes, then Meta's going to prioritize your ads and reward you. And conversely, if your ads aren't liked or aren't interacted with, people aren't enjoying them, they aren't watching them through, you're going to get deprioritized, you're going to pay a lot more for your ads, and you could even have your ads rejected. So creating ads that are like enjoyable for people to watch is actually really important. So we're going to talk about a few of the different principles of that, but it's something you should have in mind. Like, is this an ad that someone's going to like, it's going to make them smile, or they're going to want to tag a friend or make a comment on, or is this an ad that's going to annoy people? So think about that when you think about your ads. Cool. So before you even think about an ad, I'm going to give you lots of frameworks. I'm going to give you a checklist. I'm going to give you all these great things that you should think about for your ads. But before you even do that, the groundwork needs to be laid in terms of knowing your customer. It's no good copying the latest cool kind of TikTok response ad format or fake FaceTime or whatever it might be. If you're not sure who your customer is, if you don't know what they care about, and if you don't know why they're buying. So you need to lay that groundwork of doing customer research, interview them, survey them, ask them questions on social, go and look at your reviews or the reviews of your competitors, mine those for like the kind of language people are using. What are they saying about your product? What are they saying about your competitors? Do all of that work. This is not something you can do in a few hours. This is several days of work to really understand your customer and why they're buying for you. Make sure you have customer personas that are based on research. Mine TikTok, see what people are talking about in your space. If you're in the beauty space, you want to go and see like what's trending in the beauty space on TikTok. What are people going crazy for? What are they moaning about? What do they not like? So really understand that. Make sure you're clear on what your popular products are, which are your hero products that are going to be the best products to talk about in your ads. There's no point trying to shift your dud products that no one wants and try and use advertising to sell those, because you're just going to waste advertising dollars on, trying to push something that's a dud. You want to put your most popular products forward and know why people are buying them. And really, again, it comes down to understanding what is that fundamental problem in their life that you solve for your customers, and make sure your ad communicates that. And then the final thing is your ad should map to your angle of your ad, the kind of fundamental argument you're making in your ad. It should map to a real human desire. So you should understand why should someone care about that and map it to a real human desire. And you can Google, there's lots of like different frameworks you can use about like how to understand human desire that underlies kind of the reason why we behave. But humans act emotionally, not rationally. And they're usually trying to satisfy some unmet need or unmet desire. So you need to fundamentally understand how your product solves that for them and make your ads speak to those needs fundamentally. So it's not easy, but it can be simple. So there we go. So that is how to identify your angles. So now I'm going to go into, we're going to look at lots of ads and I'm going to give you lots of illustrations of great ads that illustrate my point. So we've got 10 principles for D2C ads that are fundamental, whether you're in holiday period or whether you're now in the kind of run up to holiday. You want to apply these principles. Maybe not every single principle applies to every ad, but I want you to have these in the back of your mind when you're thinking about designing your ads. So the first one is, and it's going to.
So I only wear merino bras and I love them. I love that they don't stink like nylon bras when I wear them.
Okay, pausing that one. I won't play it right through. I think there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to have access to the slides. So we can give you my contact details to get those so you can have a look at these ads all the way through. But the first principle is relatable or raw. So if you haven't tested them, you want to be doing UGC videos, lo-fi kind of founder videos, before and afters, like content that looks like it's filmed on a phone in the real world, that's not super polished. I'm not saying you can't do polished advertising and have really elevated content for your brand. Absolutely you can. But I would really encourage you to test relatable or raw style advertising in your ads, at least as part of the mix. And creative diversity is another thing that Meta is pushing really hard. So you want to have a mix of like the elevated style creative that some customers like and the raw style creative that other customers like, to give you that breadth and opportunity to reach as many customers as possible. So relatable and raw is the first principle. Second is show you solve a real problem. So I touched on this.
Not feeling a bikini, but you'd rather not look like this. You need the culprit bathing suit.
So this is a really fun ad, but they've done a really good job of understanding their customer and the problem that they solve. So in this case, these are shorts for women who don't feel super comfortable or super confident in a bikini, but still want to look like cute by the pool, right? So it's a real problem that a lot of women have, and they've brought humor in to kind of agitate the problem and show how they solve it, but make it really fun and playful. And I recommend you go and have a look at this brand. They do some really cool ads. I don't know if you caught that, but right at the end there, so this ad was kind of an us versus them, which is a great kind of format to use. But at the end, they had scrolling through their reviews, so indisputable proof that their product works. Having some kind of proof in your ad in some way, whether that's through like social proof, like reviews, or through showing that your product truly works, indisputable proof is a really great mechanism to use to convince people to buy your product. Number 3, social proof and reviews. So I just grabbed like a static ad, which is a great format to use as well. So in this case, the brand have like screenshot a customer's comment, and then they've got like a very sort of UGC looking, very kind of raw, relatable picture that looked like someone's just snapped on their phone of the product. So this is real proof, and this maps to like a human kind of need to fit in with the tribe and like to trust other people before you would trust a brand. So social proof, reviews in your ads, this is like an absolutely fundamental. If you don't have ads like this in your ad account, you're definitely missing an opportunity to perform better. All right, this one here. Let's see. Can you hear me? Say it on the mic. When my head's gone, Sorry, that one's a little bit fuzzy, but this ad I picked out to illustrate the way ads that elicit emotion can be really powerful. So this ad, without the music, wouldn't be super emotional. It's just a girl working out, right? But the music that they've picked makes it feel like this kind of quite inspiring, like you feel more feelings when you watch an ad with music than you do when you watch an ad without. And if you kind of observe when you're watching TV or movies, you'll notice how much the music that they put with a certain scene will affect your mood. And then apply that thought to your advertising. Like, how can we elicit the emotion we want people to feel about our brand or about our product? By using music can be one strong way to do that. Music's not the only way, but I'd encourage you to look at that and think about how music can help.
I tried everything to fix my hygiene, but these just made me smell like a chemical factory because they're all packed with harsh ingredients.
Okay, I won't play this whole ad because it's a minute long. This is an ad from Dr. Squatch. You've probably all seen some of their ads, but I encourage you to go have a look at their ads and kind of analyze them from an advertising perspective. And you'll see that a lot of them follow this storytelling format where it's the first person telling the story of like a problem that they suffered, and then the journey they went through to find a solution, and then what happened afterwards. So if it suits your product to tell the story, like this is probably not, storytelling is probably not so effective for instance, fashion, but it definitely works for like beauty, for like personal care products, even supplements. Storytelling can be a super powerful framework to use to get your message across. Humans just are naturally wired to follow stories. Clear benefits. So making sure your ads really focus on the benefit, not just the features. So why should someone buy your product? Not just like what it's made of or like what went into the producing of it, but the actual reason why people should buy. So this ad has this clear benefit of salon quality manicures at home. So you really understand there that you're going to have a manicure that's as good as a salon. You're going to do it at home, so it's naturally going to be less expensive. And then they've gone into some other benefits here. Beginner friendly, they've got tutorials, and they've got lots of colors. So really, really clear to me what the benefit of this product is. The 8th one is offer positioning is unique, compelling, and clear. So you really want to think about not just like the product itself, but how are you packaging it as an offer? An offer doesn't necessarily mean a promotion or a discount. An offer can just be maybe a bundle of products that are suited towards a mum, and they have like special extras in there that make the product more useful. And that might be a bundle that you do as a summer thing, or you might make it like available only for a certain amount of time. So thinking about how you can position your offer so that it's really compelling to like make a decision to act now, rather than this is something that's just always there and it's always the same and I can come back later. So the better you can position your offer in a way that feels like really compelling for a specific person and feels potentially like time sensitive or urgent or scarce. Think about how you position your offer so that it feels like it's something I need to act on right now, is something to think about. Thumb stopping. So, I've got a typo there, but that should say pattern interrupting or surprising imagery or video. So think about when people are scrolling through the feed, they make a decision as to whether to whether to stop and watch your video or stop and read your ad. So make it stand out, make it like catch their attention in some way is really important. And this final one.
In the morning when I wake, in the morning when I wake, and the sun is coming.
So this ad, again, this is probably also a good example of emotion, but it's really important, as I said, to like make the ad entertaining or like nice to watch. So this ad, I've watched it like dozens of times now since I found it, because I've worked on it on lots of presentations, but it's just such a lovely, like calming, nice ad to watch. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like positive. It's inspiring, you know, and it's really just a girl waking up and taking her supplements, but something about it like is very satisfying and nice to watch. It's probably partly to do with the music. So think about how you can make your ad like a really nice experience for people. Okay, cool. So recap: raw and relatable, agitate the pain point, proof, reviews, emotion, benefit-led, offer positioning, storytelling, pattern interrupting, and dopamine. So that's like the 10 principles of any ad to make it really compelling and work for D2C and make people take action. And those principles can apply to your holiday ads as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. I'm conscious of time. Another quick checklist for you guys. So let's just quickly watch this. And as you watch this, you can kind of read this checklist and see how it actually ticks all of these.
How shrooms changed my life. I used to drink a lot of coffee, and I got honest with myself. Coffee often made me feel anxious.
It's probably enough to watch, but you'll see it had a strong 3-second hook, quite unusual and pattern interrupting. They sort of were hinting at like maybe mushrooms, magic mushrooms, you know, it quick catches your eye. Really fast caps, designed for sound off, delight with sound on. So you'll notice how as he's talking, if we'd watched this with sound off, we would still be able to understand it because there's captions and words all the way through. So a lot of people watch with sound off still. So make sure that you design for that as well. Here they have very varied scenes and B-roll. Actually, it's further down in the video, but we see lots of like different cuts of him going about his life. There's a music visual sync, so the music kind of fits in with what's happening on the screen. And this video has some social proof at the end as well. So they've really kind of like, this is the brand Mudwater, which I encourage you to go look at their ads. They're great. They kind of follow the playbook and like tick off the checklist. So these are kind of more practical considerations to think about when you're kind of editing your ad.
How shrooms.
Okay, so you've got those fundamentals there. You know your customer really well. You understand the angles that are going to make them take action. You know the fundamentals of a good ad. So now you can go and pick like a really fun framework to pull together to make the ad work. So don't suffer from blank sheet syndrome. If you're coming up with a new ad idea, you want to be leaning into some of these frameworks because they work really well. And I'm not saying don't be creative and don't do something that's completely like out of the box, but these frameworks will help get you started and can help illustrate your point. So we talked a little bit about problem solution storytelling. A really classic ad is the features point out image. So that's when you have like a static ad and you've got like arrows pointing at like the benefits or features of the product. A UGC compilation or mashup. So having lots of content from your customers or people that you've employed to like talk about your product, but compiling them into a mashup of lots of talking heads talking about your product is a great ad that works pretty much every time. Press screenshots. So if you've had some PR, then screenshotting that and putting that in an ad is a great framework to use. Unboxing, there's lots of different creative ways you can do unboxing. UGC post-it notes. So if you Google UGC post-it note ad examples, you'll see what I mean. But this is like where you have like maybe a picture of your product and then a post-it note which kind of points out a feature, or it's like reminder to buy, or a to-do list that includes like buying your product. These really stand out in the feed, and they've been a popular framework for a couple of years now. Before and after always works. You have to be careful with getting these approved, but there are ways to do it. Us versus them. There was one ad I showed earlier on in the presentation, which had like a little video showing like their product versus another. Us versus them is a fantastic framework to use. It works so well for if you've got a product that's superior in lots of ways to your competition. Us versus them can be a video or a static ad that works really well. The good old 3 reasons why. So 3 reasons why this product is better than this, or 3 reasons why I love X product. This can be done as a kind of TikTok style first person from your customer type ad. TikTok response. This is a great ad. So if you've got a lot of people often ask the same question about your product or often object to your product for a certain reason, you can use the TikTok response feature and have the founder responding to the TikTok question or a customer responding as well. And you're sort of faking it like a social, it looks like a social post. And that's why it works, because it feels really native to the platform. It feels really natural. Founder ads. So founder ads are a great type of ad to have. So no matter what your angle is, the founder can talk about that particular angle to the customer and humanize your brand a little bit, show a little bit like who are the people behind your brand. A FaceTime style ad is a fun type of ad to do. So it could be two customers talking to each other, the founder talking to the customer. There's lots of playful ways you can do a sort of fake FaceTime as an ad. And another one, we're actually using this for SOONA at the moment, a Twitter or a WhatsApp conversation between maybe your customers talking about how great your product is. So those are some ideas to get you started. You can apply these to almost any brand, but the fundamental thing is you must have like a great angle underneath the ad before you kind of come and use one of these frameworks. It doesn't stand up unless the marketing foundation is there. Cool. I know we're sort of running short on time, so I'm going to whiz through Black Friday ad examples. So a quick checklist for Black Friday is you can repurpose your best ads. So it's a great time to test your ads now and then repurpose them for Black Friday with, you can put the sticker over or the discount, or if it's repurposing them for not so much Black Friday, but the gifting period, you can kind of like add an overlay that kind of reorientates it as a gift. But using your best ads and repurposing them during the holiday period is a great thing to do because you know that they work already. I think I mentioned this earlier in the presentation. Don't forget about your product. So you can certainly test it, but having ads that just say sale and don't feature any product or any reason to buy, especially if you're running them to cold audiences, are not a good idea, because during Black Friday, everyone is going to be running ads to sale. So if people don't know what your product is and why they should click, then they're either not going to click or you're going to get the wrong people coming who are just looking for a sale and like have no idea about your product. So don't forget to use these principles, talk about the benefits of your product, why they should buy, show the social proof, all of that. And then, you layer on top the fact that this is a sale or a discount going on. Make the sale clear and simple. So it's really important that you make it super clear how the discount works or how it's, how it's going to run. Make sure you have a mix of statics and video. So static ads, which are just images, they can work really, really well during this period because they're really easy to consume and understand. The consumer can get the info really quickly. Use highlighting or underlining to attract attention to the offer. Test like code with or without. So keep the code super short and easy though if you do use a code. Make it easy to remember when they kind of click over from the ad onto your site, and make sure there's a way for them to kind of find the code on your site as well. Creative with movement and poses attracts more attention. For example, jumping or running poses is a good idea. So just having like lots of movement to attract attention as well. So I'm going to run through a few quick examples of like Black Friday campaigns and ads for you really quickly, and then we've got time for questions. So shall I do, am I okay to keep going? Yeah, I'll just keep going. All right. So the Deal Guesser campaign from Walmart.
Selena, what are you doing?
Nothing.
You want to play Walmart?
Is a great example. Look, you can look it up. It's a great example of like using UGC to create a whole lot of buzz around Black Friday and around the deals that they're offering. This kind of green style.
I hid a secret for this Black Friday. So by signing up for an account on the Student Beans website,
this is a great way to kind of tell people what's happening with your sales. So have like a spokesperson. It could be a customer, or it could be the founder or someone from your business. Green screen with your website in the background, kind of talking people through the sale. Here I've got some examples of people using, so these two ads here are repurposed ads being used for Black Friday. So this one here, this would have been one of their best performing ads, and they've just put the sticker over the top.
Okay, this is what.
And this one, likewise, this is an ad for the pants, but they've like.
These right here are the stretch joggers by Bare Bottom Clothing, a chino style jogger.
So the ad is for the product, but they've put the Black Friday sticker over the top. This is an example of a comment response ad. So are you having a Black Friday sale? And then the founder is
Yes, we
here,
will be having a Black Friday sale.
is there talking about it. So
Yes,
this
we
would
will
be
be
a great
having a
one
Black-
to create some buzz around.
These right here are the
Buzz around your sale. Alrighty, this one here.
The Quadlock Black Friday sale is on now. You can get 30% off all Quadlock products. Hurry, sale is on for a limited.
So this ad really is probably some of their like product video that they've like repurposed with a voiceover and a sticker. So it's kind of this, probably very similar to other ads they've run, but they've just made it front and center about Black Friday. Here's another great green screen ad.
Pacifica is having a huge Cyber Week sale. These are my top 3 items to gift. Do not sleep on the perfume Silver.
So having someone like really talk through the products and why they love them while also talking about the discount and creating this kind of excitement and buzz around the sale is a great example. This one I like because it creates kind of scarcity. These hardly ever go on sale. Like this is, you know, your one chance to get this on sale, so that you're positioning the product as like something as premium. You're not kind of like, we're always on sale, we're always discount. So you're able to kind of maintain that brand value by saying that. I really like that as a way to approach your messaging.
These hardly ever go on sale, so I definitely recommend grabbing them while they're still in stock. Like butter and fade.
So yeah, you could see the urgency she created there. Grab them while they're still in stock. You want to get people to action this straight away. And then this one here, Gymshark. How easy is that to create an ad like that? Like you just need a room, someone like throwing the product, and it's just really fun. Lots of movement, just creates excitement.
The Quadlock Black Friday sale is.
There we go. Quick one here. These are some good examples of like using kind of the monochrome effect for your ads. Pops of color also can work really well. You can see how very clear and obvious the sale messaging is around this. Humor is also great to use. Teasers are also great to use. So you want to have some hype a couple of days before the sale. Don't go in too early, but having some teasers, getting people's email address ahead of the sale is a great tactic to use. So yeah, that is it. Yeah, so if anyone wants the slides, feel free to email me, jessie.healy@ecommgrowthexperts.com, or visit my website and you can contact me through there. Ready for questions? Sorry, I went a little bit over.
No, Jessie, do not apologize. This was all truly fantastic tips, and I love all of the examples that you sent. So yeah, I have a few questions I'd love to ask you, and then for folks that are watching from home, please add your questions in the chat, and we'll get to your questions. So Jessie, the first question that I have for you, I know in the beginning of the presentation you talked a lot about investing in customer research. So, you know, for our customers who maybe have not been able to invest in customer research, what is the best way to get to know your customer, right? Like what are some first steps you can take?
Yeah, I mean, if you already have, if your brand's fairly established and you already have customers, like I recommend regularly doing a survey where you send out, you know, and give them a nice incentive, give them either a product discount or, you know, like some kind of freebie for doing that, because people are busy, right? So you want to drive like a strong incentive for them to fill out a survey. So surveying is one way. You can also make it part of your process, right? So there's some great tools. No Commerce is one of them, KNO, for doing post-purchase surveys. Post-purchase surveys are great because you can ask people where they heard about you, what drove them to buy. You can ask, you know, they've got like lots of recommended questions that you can put in your post-purchase survey. And that way you're kind of getting that information all the time and it's kind of dripping into your system. But review mining is gold, right? So with ChatGPT now, there's some great prompts you can use. You can get lots and lots of review data, plug it into ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to analyze, you know, what words are people using most often? What sort of language are they using? You know, what positive things are they saying? What negative things are they saying? And you can also apply that to your competition. So I worked with a client who was a engagement ring designer, and so she was able to go on all the other like engagement ring designer websites and see what people are saying about those designers and what are the common themes that are making people happy or unhappy, and then she can kind of build her brand positioning around that. But I also would say there's no substitute for interviewing your customers in person, like having like a monthly, you know, kind of office hours, or you know, maybe once a week as a founder, you like open up your calendar to just talk to customers. You will learn so much if you do that.
I love that. Yeah, I know talking to customers, there's nothing that replaces that, right? So, so important. In your presentation, you shared a ton of really fantastic video examples. I think I just saw one static image example. And I know you mentioned, making sure that there was creative diversity. But, from your perspective, and what are you seeing right now? What's performing better, static images or video?
I would say there's no like hard and fast answer. Like it really does vary by account. And I think every account should have a mix of both. And then you can learn like for your particular product in this point in time, what works best. And, we do see like there's a little trend at the moment of people saying, that statics are working well. I think one thing to bear in mind is like often statics will work well for a more mature brand that has like good audience awareness already, and they just need that slightly cheaper to get someone to your site through a static ad. So they just need that final nudge. Whereas video tends to work or be needed when your brand is less mature, less well known, and where more education is required. Also depends on your product, right? So statics can work really well for like fashion because all people need to see is like, this inspirational picture of someone wearing the product. Whereas if your brand requires more education and explanation, video is definitely going to do that job better.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah. And I know something that you hit on very early on too is the importance of this trending lo-fi style video content, right? So with the iPhone, very relatable, I love that you said raw, right? That's like a raw video. I definitely see it all day, every day. Another question I have, what are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing brands today make with their ads?
I think it's like probably it's where they aren't doing that foundational work to understand their customer. So it can be really easy to jump on the bandwagon and do like a TikTok response ad or think that you should do a 3 reasons why ad. But if you're not basing it on like the real reason why someone buys from you, the ad is just going to fall flat. It's not just because you use the latest trendy format doesn't mean it's going to work if it's not fundamentally linked to why someone's buying from you. So I think that's one mistake. And then the other big mistake I think brands make is just not making enough creative. That seems to me to be like the problem of the year. The theme of the year is like brands, because it's hard, right? It's hard to constantly be shooting stuff, editing stuff, coming up with ideas. But that is where I see the brands that do well and scale are the ones that are able to solve that problem and create that kind of, machine inside their business, or with, services like SOONA and Trend can be really great to help with that, do some of that heavy lifting. But creating that system where you've got the right people shooting the right stuff and you're turning over creative quickly, that's going to make all the difference to the performance of your campaigns and your business as a whole.
No, that's really great advice. I know Patrick Jones here has a question. Here it's up on the screen. How long do you usually let creative run before you decide whether or not to keep it or shut it off, right? Because I know you mentioned, you can do these trending ads, but maybe they're not working for your audience or for your customers. So how long do you let it run?
Yeah, so it's a tricky question to answer. It's a great question, but it depends what kind of structure you have set up to test your ads, right? So I advocate for some of my clients using an automated structure where we're actually launching in a campaign budget optimization. I'm getting technical here, but we have it set up so that there's lots of different ad sets where we're testing different types of ad angles, and we're letting the algorithm decide where to allocate the spend. So in that case, we don't have to worry too much about turning it off because it's just not going to have money spent on it if it's not working. And we're just letting the algorithm decide, right? But if you're testing them more in like a manual way, so you have an ad set budget and you have maybe 3 ads in an ad set, and you're waiting to see whether an ad works, I would say you definitely want to run it. At least it must run for 7 days, because every brand has like days of the week that work better, right? So you need to make sure you've run it on a weekend and on a Wednesday before you make a decision. But generally, I would say 14 days. And you'd shut it off if Facebook was spending a ton of money on it and it just was not converting at all. You might shut it off earlier than that. But generally, like the allocation of the spend will be decided by Meta anyway. And so, you kind of have to sit back and let it see what happens.
Okay, great. So 7 days minimum, but 14 days is the
Yeah.
recommendation. All right.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Looks like we have another question here. Is it okay to experiment with the type of content that a brand posts to see what resonates with their audience at the risk of an inconsistent looking feed, right? I know we're seeing that all the time. People are trying new things, trying new styles, trying a real voiceover, the AI bot voiceover. You know, how do you approach that consistency of the brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because, you know, we were taught as marketers that brand consistency is like the be all and the end all and super important to like create a brand that people can recognize and understand. But what's happened is like the world has moved and like social advertising requires this kind of like diversity and to sometimes stray a little bit away from the confines of like exactly what the brand kind of needs to look and feel like, especially with like if you have very strict brand guidelines, and that therefore means that you can't use like the native fonts that are used in like an Instagram story. So I would really encourage you to actually experiment, it is okay, and it's actually very much encouraged to experiment with the type of content that you post. And remember that like when people come to see the brand on the website and on your Instagram, grid, you can be really branded and consistent there, but like the ad creative is just there as a way to get people into your brand, and then they'll experience it in a more consistent way once they get there. But the more diverse you are and the more experimental you are, the more likely you're going to do well. So I would really encourage you to experiment.
Okay. And I know a brand asked me this recently, which is why I just want to confirm it. It's okay to not necessarily use brand fonts and text in the videos, right? Like you almost want to use what mimics in the social space.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. That's great.
We millennials and Gen Z, and probably Gen X too, but like definitely millennials and Gen Z are turned off by stuff that looks like advertising. They skip it. Whereas if it looks like natural in the feed, they're more likely to stop and pay attention. It feels more authentic to them. Like authenticity is more important than like the brand being perfect to like your typical Gen Z or millennial consumer. I've got another one here. Just certain types of. Yes, I would say that is true. So generally top of funnel, you probably, especially if your brand is kind of new to the world and you're wanting to bring new customers in, you want to probably use video, maybe longer video will work top of funnel. And then lower in the funnel is more likely to be statics and more like social proof. You might focus a little bit more on features at the bottom of the funnel, and top of funnel, you're very much more benefit focused. So yes, definitely think about like where they are in their like level of awareness with you, and think about having ads that are designed for those different stages.
Okay, great. And I just, if anyone has any last questions, please add them in the chat. But really, Jessie, the last question I have for you, what resources do you use to keep up with Meta's changes, right? I know Meta is changing all the time. So, what are some resources that you recommend?
Yeah, so I just have a bunch of people that I follow on LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you guys went and found me on either LinkedIn and Twitter, I should be pretty easy to find. You can kind of see who I'm following and having conversations with there. So that's probably the main way. And then I have a bunch of podcasts that I listen to. The Perpetual Traffic podcast, Smart Marketer podcast is another good one. And then there's a bunch of like, there's a lot of like really like ecomm focused podcasts as well that are really good. So go search in Spotify and go and have a look at like what podcasts are there. There's so many great ones now. I actually have a podcast as well. It's called E-commerce Impact Podcast. You can go and have a listen to that one.
We'll definitely link to your podcast on our website.
Cool.
All right. Well, Jessie, thank you so much again for joining us. Our first of the series, as I mentioned, for those who may have missed the beginning, we are going to be going live every Wednesday from now until October, sharing tips and tricks for the holiday season, really to help you guys win the holiday. Thank you so much, Jessie. This video is going to live on our SOONA.com/webinars page, as well as links to your presentation, as in podcasts and more information. So thank you so much, Jessie. And thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, thank you. And I love seeing all the thank yous in the comments. It's nice to have that. Thanks everyone.
All right, take care. Bye everyone.
Bye.